Shohei Ohtani has made his decision, and no matter how many times I look at the contract that he's going to be receiving, it doesn't feel real. $700 million all guaranteed by the Los Angeles Dodgers as they're signing baseball's best, the unicorn, the modern-day Babe Ruth. Shohei Ohtani is staying in Los Angeles. This MLB free agency period and offseason as a whole has been one of the most boring to date, and all of a sudden, it's probably become the most infamous as Shohei Ohtani inks the richest contract in North American sports history. NFL, NBA, MLB, it doesn't matter. Nothing comes close to the kind of guaranteed money that Ohtani is going to be making. It's been an extremely wild last couple of days for Shohei Ohtani's camp. Just yesterday, we had MLB insider John Morrissey claim that Shohei was in Toronto and he was going to be meeting with the Blue Jays, just for us to learn a few hours later that that wasn't true. Ohtani had never left California, and the flight everybody was tracking was actually Shark Tank star Robert Herjavec. There was also rumors that Ohtani had cut out the Dodgers because their manager Dave Roberts spoke to the level of their contact in potentially bringing Shohei to the team. I think this has been a very important lesson. Don't trust anything until you see a tweet from Jeff Passan. If there's one MLB insider that you should put stock in, it is that man right there. And I want to talk about the deal. $700 million, all guaranteed, and we've also now learned that there's no opt-outs on any side. Not that Shohei would ever realistically opt out of a $70 million AAV deal, but for the Dodgers, they'll be paying out $700 million over the next decade up until Shohei turns 39 years old. And all throughout this season, all that anybody could talk about is how much is Shohei gonna rack up once he hits free agency. Many people, many insiders, I suppose, said that Ohtani could look at $400 million, $500 million, maybe $600 million, but even then, it was probably thought that there would be a couple more years tacked on. $70 million for 10 years is insane until you realize just how big Ohtani is for the sport of baseball, and not just for North America, of course, for his home country in Japan, where baseball is really their primary sport. They have a bigger burning passion for baseball than we do here in the United States. And I think that became ever so clear this past spring when we watched the World Baseball Classic. The entire country was rallied around Japan's efforts to take home gold. And you look at the shots in the crowd and you see all of the Shohei Ohtani jerseys. Baseball has never had a player as marketable as Shohei Ohtani. And I think you can make the argument that Shohei would rank top 5 or maybe even top 3 in the most popular players within all of North American sports, going well beyond the baseball world. And I think, as the Dodgers very well understand, just having Ohtani on the team is going to completely mitigate whatever they're paying him, because they're going to earn that money right back. The money made from things like advertising campaigns and merchandise sales, it all becomes very clear why Ohtani is getting this big of a deal. And I want to look at this from the actual on-field level. This contract features a lot of deferred money, and while we don't have an exact figure, this is significantly going to help out the Dodgers by building a good team around Ohtani, because that's the main thing. Shohei stated himself that he wants to win, but he also wants to look out for himself, and I think he did a very good job at filling both requirements. He joins a team that was disappointing last year. The Dodgers got swept in the NLDS, and to many people's eyes, the Dodgers have disappointed for years upon years. Of course, they did win the World Series in 2020, but they've had many playoff shortcomings despite being the team to beat year in and year out in the regular season. So will Shohei Ohtani be able to break the narrative that the Dodgers have built for themselves over the past decade? I don't know. But if you look at that roster, you would certainly think so. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Will Smith, James Outman, all in one lineup. But unfortunately for pitching, they're not going to have Ohtani at all next season. He tore his UCL towards the end of last season, his second major injury to his pitching elbow, so he won't be pitching at all. He'll just be hitting for 2024. And it's funny looking back because that injury, a lot of people speculated how much money that would lose Shohei. I don't remember anybody saying that Shohei was going to get up to $700 million. And that's with injury concern too. It's no guarantee that Ohtani's going to be the same Cy Young caliber pitcher that we've seen him in spurts in 2022-2023. I think it's abundantly clear that throughout this 10-year deal, Ohtani's not going to make it that long as a pitcher. So the question remains, how long can he pitch? How long can he be a two-way player? Because ultimately, that is where the value comes in with Ohtani, is that he does both hitting and pitching at award-winning levels. So obviously, Ohtani as a pure hitter is not worth $70 million a year. But again, you're not getting Ohtani just for the on-field performance. The amount of revenue that this generates for the Dodgers, alongside, at the worst case scenario, putting one of the best hitters in baseball on your team, this is an insane deal. Initially, a lot of people expected that Ohtani would probably look at the Dodgers or the Angels, look to stick in Los Angeles. The Giants were another team that did receive a lot of buzz. The Toronto Blue Jays, the Chicago Cubs were another big player. There was a report that Shohei couldn't see himself playing in New York, so realistically, I think it was down to probably 4-ish candidates. And to be honest, I couldn't ever see Ohtani leaving Southern California. The only reason he left the Angels is because he wants to win. He knows they'd pay him, they'd probably give him $700 million, and he loves the location, the fans as well who've rallied around him since he came into Major League Baseball in 2018, and being on the West Coast gives him the quickest path to home in Japan. I gotta say this, I'm glad it's over. So maybe now some other moves can happen. The big names and the big teams aren't willing to make deals because they're all looking at how this Ohtani contract is going to help shape the market. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you make of all this? Shohei Ohtani is headed to the Los Angeles Dodgers.